offer Labor's support. Labor did not support this bill at first reading because we were concerned about the proposals which are contained in Part 1 to lower the police vetting requirements for contractors who work at schools or at early childhood education services that could put our children's safety at risk. However, I'm pleased to report to the House that during the Select Committee process of this bill, we were able to actually get amendments that appeased some of our concerns in that area, and now find ourselves able to support this bill. And this bill is actually about doing practical things that support standards in our schools and in our early childhood education sectors. Mr Chair, unlike some of the other proposals that this government has for education, where it purports to be looking to improve standards, but in fact will do the opposite. This bill, however, Mr Chair, will actually do something practical to lift standards, because it ensures that our children are well protected in their school and in their early childhood education environments. During my call in this stage of the bill, Mr Chair, I'd like to actually just focus on one of the key changes that Labor was able to force at the Select Committee, and that is the part that talks about the ability of a school board to be taken over by a commissioner. And originally, when this bill went through its first reading, the proposal was that there was a policy to allow a corporate takeover of school board functions. And we were very concerned about that. And I think if we look back today on what has transpired over the last couple of weeks, we were right to be concerned about that. Because, of course, what we know about this government is that it does have a tendency to actually replace democratically elected organisations with commissioners at will, and to have them in for quite some lengthy period of time. So getting this right in this bill was incredibly important. We didn't believe it was correct for a corporate entity, a faceless corporate entity, to be able to take over in the role of a commissioner for something as important as our schools. Because it was Labor's view, and that happened to be shared by others on the Select Committee, but it was our view that it was important to have an individual responsible when democracy was overtaken by the appointment of a commissioner in the case of our local schools. So we fought for and were able to convince the Green Party and also ACT to support that position. And Mr Chair, I think I want to congratulate both those parties for coming on board with making that very important change during the Select Committee process, because this government was committed to going forward and allowing corporate takeovers of board functions by bringing in commissioners that weren't named individuals but could be corporate entities. And I think that could have been a very frightening prospect. And of course, we know that it's not only in local government where this government does have a tendency to replace democratically elected people such as school boards of trustees with commissioners, and do it for lengthy periods of time. Because in the part of the country that I come from, in Hamilton, we have 2 secondary schools currently who have commissioners appointed to them. And one of them, Fairfield College, has actually had a commissioner in place now for 18 months or more. And that's a very, very lengthy period of time for a school not to have its community representation via a school board of trustees. The other one in our area is Fraser, and that's been for a shorter period of time. But the point I'm making, Mr Chair, is that when we, by legislative means, determine the process by which a government, any government, can actually replace a democratically elected school board of trustees with an appointed commissioner, then we need to be very, very careful about the powers that are bestowed upon that person, or as the government was arguing, a corporate entity. We believed that it wasn't right to allow corporate entities to actually take over that function, because corporate entities, of course, don't have the same culpability as individuals do in that situation. We were very pleased to be able to make that particular change at Select Committee, and find that because of that change we can support this bill at its committee stages.